But he's still speaking tonight at Mar-a-Lago, so I still have to watch that speech. But basically, all you need to know about what happened today in court in Lower Manhattan is that Donald Trump was arrested, he was arraigned, and he didn't look happy. And I think it's because he wasn't in control. He got the message loud and clear that in a court of law, he is no better than anyone. And I think that's a message that has been missing from, you know, Donald Trump's psychological makeup. All these 7 decades of life, nearly 8 decades of life. Hey, hi, it's Emil Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. My takes on all things considerable. We call this Emil Amok's Takeout. I'm a little late because I was going to do this on Instagram in a short Reels version, but I thought, no, I'll do it in the way that I normally do it here on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter and all the other places, because this is important because you're going to hear spin tonight. People saying, "Oh, this is the weak gruel that DA Alvin Bragg has served up. He expects this to take down Donald Trump." No, and I don't think anyone has really ever said this is the first of maybe up to 4 total cases that Donald Trump is facing. You've got the Mar-a-Lago documents case. You've got the January 6th, right? The two Jack Smith federal cases, and then you have the Fulton County Fani Willis case in Georgia that it talks about the real conspiracy to defraud the election of 2020. And so this is just the appetizer. I've always said that. It's just the appetizer. And for people to come out and say, "Oh, well, this is going to be, rocket fuel for Donald Trump," I don't know. Maybe he comes back tonight and says, "Hey, I was playing rope-a-dope because I couldn't do anything in court, but now in Mar-a-Lago, now I'm going to tell you what I really feel." Maybe that's what he's going to say. But I think it's just a bad look if someone is arrested and arraigned and it was a longer period in court for Trump because the judge, reports have it, was admonishing both sides not to speak out in a way that would encourage violence. And there was a smattering of some conflict outside the courtroom, reported. When Marjorie Taylor Greene came in and started talking about how Trump is being persecuted, like I think she likened him to Nelson Mandela, which is funny because I don't think Donald Trump that would be the first name that comes to mind when Donald Trump was trying to think of some historical figure that he was like. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, used Jesus, and Nelson Mandela, I don't think Jesus. I somehow don't see Donald Trump as Jesus. I mean, not with the Stormy Daniels thing. Is it with Jesus? Pay $130,000 as hush money for Stormy Daniels? Anyway, so that was outside, and I tried not to pay too much attention to, Marjorie Taylor Greene and all that. Trying to stay focused on what was going on, and you couldn't really tell what was going on except you saw Trump go in, you saw Trump go out, and then there was that long period, and then you heard all the commentators, yammering away. But the big thing is there's 34 counts, and each time there was a lie, in that was perpetrated by 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 the defendant Trump in order to mischaracterize payments made through Michael Cohen. And the people say, well, what was the crime? Alvin Bragg in his press conference said the law does not say he has to specify the actual law, but it's a New York election law, according to Alvin Bragg. Now, people were always wondering, this was going to be the linchpin of this case, of how would Bragg characterize the Stormy Daniels payoffs, and how would he get that? Because generally, the falsification of documents, business documents, is seen as a low-grade felony, usually dismissed as a misdemeanor, apparently. People were saying, how would he get that to a level that would really take down Trump? And Bragg, in his press conference, suggested that this is a very serious business documents case, and it becomes a hardline felony when it's elected, or when it's connected to a state election law that was broken. And Bragg went into that briefly in the press conference, but said that the indictment doesn't have to say specifically the laws that were broken. That's what he said. And so the indictment was, even though it was 34 counts, was generally put down by analysts as not strong enough, or pretty weak rule. However, there were some pretty strong statements of fact that were included in the indictment, and so now we'll see how this plays out. In my ALDEF column, in the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, I said, look, this is just the first of maybe 3 more to come. And I wasn't expecting this to be the knockout blow. I was expecting it to be a nice little peppering to the head. And then maybe the Georgia case comes in about voting irregularities. And then maybe the Florida documents case comes in with obstruction of justice. I mean, it was always going to be a combination of the cases. And I think you'll hear a lot of Republicans try to spin it saying, oh, well, this means they've got nothing. And this means that, hey, this is the first one, the historic one. And if it's this week, then they won't pay attention. Believe me, they'll pay attention. Although you have to admit that the second time Donald Trump was impeached, it did seem that people paid a little less attention than the first time. So we'll see how it's presented. We'll see how the case goes. Frankly, as I said in my writing, my column today, I said I'd indict Trump for use of the terms China virus and Kung flu, slurs that resulted in nearly 12,000 instances of hate transgressions against Asian Americans from major to minor during the pandemic. Now, I know those aren't indictable crimes, but they're just unindictable crimes against humanity. And as a community, I think it's safe to say we have seen enough of Trump's recklessness firsthand. So I was watching MSNBC last night, Lawrence O'Donnell, and he was talking about how, the standard of innocent until proven guilty only applies if you're going to serve on the jury. If you're in your living room, or if you're listening to this now, innocent until proven guilty doesn't necessarily have to apply to you, the average citizen. And when I heard Lawrence say that, and I know Lawrence. We go way back. Honest, we do. I tend to agree with him. It's a little provocative, but it does say that, look, that's a legal standard, and we don't have to abide by that if you're not serving on the jury. Of course, if you are watching the trial, assuming there will be a trial here, maybe the first of maybe four, we want to be open-minded, fair-minded, but I think if you're not serving on the jury, I agree with O'Donnell. I think Asian Americans we have more than enough evidence on Donald Trump about the kind of person he is and what he's done to impact society. And we should just turn the gaslight off now. Be fair-minded during the trials and when they begin, and let's watch the rule of law in action in our democracy. And let's see if Trump is innocent without his spin, lies, or bluster. But I think I looked at the indictment, and I think when you have 34 counts, your work's cut out for you. I wish him well. Let's see him show he's innocent without his spin, without his lies, without his bluster. Because I don't know if he can do that. So I say a good first step. I don't think this is the only thing that prosecutors have. Well, the New York prosecutor may not be the only thing the New York prosecutor has also. But keep in mind that Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis in Georgia, Jack Smith doing the Mar-a-Lago case and the January 6th cases, they're all separate and they don't talk to each other. They're all independent. It's the grand jury, right? I mean, separate grand juries, separate cases. And I think this is just the opening. And don't despair if you say, oh my God, it wasn't the one big blast, right? That's like saying, oh my God, we like watching a soccer game and you don't score in the first minute. You say, oh, now we got to sit and watch 90 minutes of this stuff. No, look, this is part of the process. So I actually was encouraged today because they got Donald Trump in, they got Donald Trump arrested, arraigned, and according to reports, his mugshot was not taken, but Donald Trump is still marketing Trump mugshots. He's going to rile up his base. He's going to raise money, and people are going to think, oh, here, he's defied democracy. He's defied gravity again. Just look at his face. He's not defying gravity. He's got a fight. He's got a fight on his hands. And this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. All right, so I've learned my lesson. I'm going to go short on these things. I except maybe when I talk to Professor Dan. But yeah, check out my column on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog, where I also talk about Asian America and the affirmative action case vis-a-vis the news that Harvard just announced a record number of Asian Americans in its incoming freshman class, the 2027 class. And, if you haven't thought about it, haven't thought about the case, I was struck by one graph that I saw in the Harvard Crimson, which really shows how many, what the real problem is. I mean, the acceptance rate is down to like 3.44%. 3.4%. That's it. But of course, it has to be that low because the number of applicants are that high. I mean, it's like an inverse proportion. If the number of applicants is low, then the acceptance rate is higher, like maybe up to 10%, as it was in the year 2020, I believe, or 2000, excuse me, 2002, I believe, according to the graph. But when, that's when applications were around 20,000. But when applications jumped up to like 60,000 and 58,000, 57, I mean, you're going to have a lot of rejections. Were all of those rejections discriminated against? See, this is what makes a case of discrimination, in my mind, hard to prove, because you have a lot of rejects, and there are a lot of rejects who are totally qualified. But when the consistent thing about Harvard is their freshman class is around 1,700 to 2,000 people each and every year. At least it's been that way for the last 22 years. That stays the same. But when the applicants go high through the roof, you're going to get a lot of rejections. And not all of them should go see Ed Blum and say, hey, you can use me as a plaintiff in an anti-affirmative action case. So go to the ALDEF flag. I write about that. What's interesting also is that it coincides with something I saw in the Times. Two Asian American data reporters put together an interactive model where you can use a slider to dial in the values that you want in a college. Like, oh, I want a party. And you press that all the way to the end. Yeah. Oh, I want athletics. You press that. See, I said, I want mid-range athletics. I don't need a D1 school, and SEC football school. I don't need to go there. Party life, I don't need one beer a meal. I mean, I don't want to. But I want a good school that's ranked high. I want to have some upward mobility. So if I go to that school, I'll make more than my father, who was a fry cook. I want a school that is both racially and economically diverse, because I don't want to be the only poor person there. But I like to be with some middle class people, a handful of rich people, and a really broad base of different ethnicities, races. And so I put my numbers in. My number one school, based on my values, UCLA, which is ironic because I think UCLA was the UC I tried to go to. But for some reason, I just lost interest, I mean, when you get into Harvard, you just say, I'll go there. But number two was New York's Baruch College for me. And then, oddly enough, in the top 30 was Cal State Bakersfield, which is Kevin McCarthy's alma mater. I don't know why. I guess they're not a bad school, even though it's in Bakersfield. Now, when I put in the values, Harvard, number 235. Number 235. Yeah. Now I ask you, who wants to go to your 235th best choice? All right. Anyway, all that on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. All right. So I got my Trump stuff off my chest. I talked about my column. I'm going to write a couple more. I'll watch Donald Trump speak tonight to see how he spins his day, because he's going to say, they persecuted me. I'm Nelson Mandela. He's going to call himself Nelson Mandela, or Marjorie Taylor Greene did. I hope he doesn't pick that up. And then like I said, a number of Republicans are coming out saying, "Oh, if this is the best the Democrats have, then it's pretty thin gruel, pretty thin." Don't buy it. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. This is not all the Democrats have, or this is not all the courts have. I mean, because we know it's not partisan, right? I mean, it's not really political. I mean, if it were political, then you put them away for taking babies from mothers at the southern border. If it were political, you you get him for the crime he committed by hamstringing Joe Biden on the pullout in Afghanistan. If it were political, I mean, they're all but those aren't indictable crimes. These are real laws that were broken. And you say, "Oh, little laws." Not that's the thing. They're not little laws. I mean, the people say, "Oh, little laws." This business documentation case, falsification. No, that's when you curry favor to, rich, famous, powerful people like Donald Trump. You say, "Oh, we'll just forget about that little error." I mean, wasn't it interesting when Donald Trump came into the courtroom, or actually as he was passing along, he had to get through a set of double doors. And the person who went before him didn't hold the door open for him. And he was like stunned. "Oh my God, I got a glass door coming at my hair." I think he was stunned there a little bit. "Hey, where's the Philippine? Isn't the Filipino guy supposed to hold the door open for me?" He showed greater restraint. And he did not. He did not. He was supposed to step out and talk to the cameras, but there was no one there. No one there to talk to him, or no one there to receive him, I guess, except some cameras. No real reporters out there. They were all inside waiting for him. Anyway, I'm going to watch Trump tonight at Mar-a-Lago. I'll write some more tomorrow. Be back tomorrow to talk. But I just think, boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is a sad day for Donald Trump, because he's forced to say something like, "Oh, this is the best you got. This is a sad day for democracy, and they're coming after me." No, they came after you, Donald Trump, because of who you are and what you did and the laws you broke. That's important. All right. All right, so it's good to see you. I don't really see you, but I guess, yeah. It's good to be here with you. Thank you very much for joining me. Emil, Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. We try to be here in the 2 o'clock hour, Monday through Friday. And catch my columns on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. Also catch us every now and then. We're on Instagram, because, all the cool people are there. And then Twitter, they're not so cool. I don't even have a blue check. I don't have a blue check. Facebook, of course, emilguillermo.media, or Emil Guillermo, the personal page. All right, regular listeners to the show know that I like to do a little meditation. It's true. And I would be so much more disagreeable when it comes to Donald Trump if I didn't meditate. Thank goodness I meditate. Thank goodness I meditate. Now I could be a quantumist. I can say, "Oh yeah, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Yeah. He'll go away soon." That's what I thought. I was looking at him. They're showing close-ups of his face. I was thinking, "Oh, he's going to go away soon. He's got too much to do. He's got too many legal entanglements. He has no time to be president. He has no time to run. He, I, I, I think it's time to quit him. I think it's time to dump Trump. I mean, you don't want to say to people, "Oh yeah, that's our candidate, the indicted one." That doesn't sound right. Oh, there's our candidate. He's the criminal. He's the guy in the pressed orange jumpsuit. You know, that doesn't. Yeah. So, what kind of meditation do you do, Emil? Huh? Oh, as they say, the meta meditation, METTA, meta, loving kindness. Show the love. Show the love first. And then look what happens. You show the love, it comes back twofold, threefold, sometimes fourfold. You like that kind of folding love? And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Till tomorrow. Mahal Kita.